Welcome to this webcast presentation on wavelength-scanned cavity ring-down spectroscopy for stable isotopes. Fast, easy, high-precision measurements of delta 13C, delta 18O and delta D from Picaro, producers of the world's highest performance and easiest to use analyzers. Isotopic analyses are tremendously useful for a wide variety of environmental, agricultural, and food applications. Scientists engaged in climate and ice core studies, ground and surface water tracers, aquifer dynamics, and other applications as diverse as bird migration mapping use delta 18O and delta D values from water. In fact, as we think of the human body as a water cycle system, scientists can use these same isotopes to measure metabolic activity. Carbon-13 values from soils, sediments, and inorganic and organic matter from waterways such as inland lakes, streams, and the oceans also enable a deeper understanding of the carbon cycle. In associated experiments, carbon-13 allows measurement of food origin and adulteration, especially for products such as edible oils, seeds, nuts, fruits, chocolates, and others. Given the usefulness of isotopic measurements, it has to be agreed that the current technology, the bulky and expensive isotopic ratio mass spec systems, currently are underserving the community. And we should ask ourselves, what if isotopic analyses were available with precision equal to or better than the current standard isotope ratio mass spectrometers, but at a capital cost 1/4 to 1/2 of that of these instruments, and in addition had maintenance costs that were just a few pennies per sample? What if these were true benchtop devices, less than 2 feet wide and less than 10 inches tall, and used little power and were rugged enough to operate in remote laboratories? And finally, were so easy to use that they could be set up and running in minutes. And in fact, with the commercialization of the Picaro wavelength-scanned cavity ring-down systems, these what-ifs have become a reality, broadening the scope of isotope analysis and setting the stage for experiments that could be performed in remote labs, in ships, or other transportation. First, we will review the wavelength-scanned cavity ring-down spectroscopy technology, which will explain how this paradigm shift in measurement capability has taken place. Picaro's wavelength-scanned cavity ring-down spectroscopy systems operate in the infrared and are ideally suited for isotopic analyses. Molecules rotate and vibrate at infrared measurable frequencies, and the wavelengths can be calculated from an equation that includes an expression dependent on the mass of two atoms at each end of a bond. When the mass of either atom changes, as it does when one isotope replaces another, then the wavelength changes. Hence, different isotopologues have measurably different spectra. If we look at the near-infrared signals attributable to the isotopologues of water, we can see those contributions from H218O, H216O, and HD16O, which together produce the delta 18O and delta D values. It's important to note that water is measured directly by this technique. There are no other chemical processes required to produce these isotopic values. If we look too at the isotopes of carbon dioxide, we can see two peaks attributable to carbon-13 CO2 and carbon-12 CO2, which again combine to produce the delta 13C value. Once again, carbon dioxide can be measured directly, so ambient carbon dioxide isotopic measurements can be made, and also CO2 is readily liberated from other samples such as carbonates. One additional point to note is the lack of interference from other species in this spectrum, meaning that samples don't have to be processed in order to dry water or remove other gaseous species before measurement. In addition, Picato's systems provide very high resolution. We use laser sources which generate very narrow spectral line widths, significantly narrower than a molecule's absorption lines. This enables the resolution required for closely spaced isotopic lines and allows the complete characterization of line shapes and intensities required for accurate quantitation of individual isotopic contributions, which are then used to calculate delta values. And further, Picato's implementation of cavity ring-down spectroscopy is designed to achieve the very high sensitivity and precision needed for these measurements. We use a small 35 cc cavity which we fill with sample. We allow laser intensity to build up to a predetermined level, and importantly, we shut off the laser, thereby removing laser intensity fluctuations and eliminating a significant noise contributor. The light reflects around the cavity, circling the 3 highly reflective mirrors about 100,000 times, providing an incredibly long path length, up to 20 kilometers. Cavity loss mechanisms, such as the mirrors and the absorption from the sample species, decrease intensity each pass. A photodetector positioned behind one of the mirrors records the decreasing signal. Measurement is therefore decay rate, not absolute absorbance, and the time basis and long path length of this technique provide the high sensitivity and precision required. Increasing the concentration of sample, or moving the laser closer to the central frequency of an absorption line, increases the rate of loss in the cavity and shortens the ring-down time in a mathematically well understood manner. In the top cavity, there are no molecules present and the ring-down time is long. In the bottom cavity, absorption by the molecules generates a shorter ring-down time. Putting the processes together, we can see how the measurement takes place. We fill the cavity with sample and then step the laser through the wavelengths required to measure the peaks contributing to a delta measurement. At each step, we record a ring-down measurement and then transform the decay constants into a line that can be accurately quantified. Picato has made some significant enhancements that enable the very best precision and sensitivity. First, we contain the cavity, associated electronics, plumbing and gases in a rigorously thermally controlled environment. The control is better than 0.002 degrees centigrade. This process maintains the line shape during these demanding experiments, even in changing ambient conditions, again ensuring appropriate sensitivity and precision. Second, we use our patented laser wavelength monitor, which is also thermally controlled. This system carefully manages our frequency accuracy, again enabling exceptional line shape consistency, ensuring the highest sensitivity and precision. This is the end of our introduction into Picato's wavelength-scanned cavity ring-down spectroscopy systems. In parts 2 and 3, we'll examine these applications in more detail, showing some data that we have run in our laboratories and setting the stage for other applications that can be developed using this technique.